Hey guys, it's Marina with Artworthy Life, where I teach art journaling that gets you into God's Word every day. Happy Friday, everybody. And I just want to say it's been a little while since I've been on, so I'm just really happy to jump back on here and see everybody. So feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know what your plans are for this weekend. We have a beautiful, beautiful sunny weekend ahead of us. So let me know what's coming up on your schedule. And before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and read some scripture, get our day started right as usual. So let me go ahead and read you the scripture that I chose for today. And this is from John 12:25. I'm sure you've heard this before. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. If any man serve me, let him follow me. And where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. I actually went ahead and read the next verse after that because it's just such a beautiful passage. But the idea that, I don't know if you guys have ever heard a sermon where people basically say, the Bible's kind of backwards. Like, in order to gain your life, you lose it. In order to be ahead, you need to serve. The leadership serves, and all of that. The greatest in the kingdom of God is the least on earth. And so I just love that passage. We're all gonna die someday. So make sure that you're losing your life to Christ every day in this life, because that's what's going to count ultimately, rather than trying to save your life here. In other words, if you can give of yourself for the kingdom of God, that's gonna reap great rewards in heaven. Good morning, Pam. Good morning, Bonnie. And good morning, Leslie Ann. I'm so glad to see all of you guys on. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my screen where you guys can see my hands. And I think I'm gonna use this one. Let's do that. Okay, isn't that fun? So today we're gonna work on a really fun month. What did I call it? A cover page for the month. So basically, like, when you get started art journaling for the month, sometimes it's fun to have a transition page so you know that you're moving into the next season or the next month or whatever. So I thought it would be fun in my journal to have a little cover page for the month of May. And so this is my Strathmore Mixed Media Art Journal. If you don't have a mixed media journal, feel free to use whatever you have. Good morning, Thomas. So glad to see you. And Emily, Aunt Emmy, hey! Good morning. Long time no talk to. Hi, Sandy. Glad to see you. So I did put a little post before this live so that you guys could go ahead and grab your supplies. But let me go ahead and show you what I've got. I have my art journal. I have some watercolor brushes. A lot of times I will say watercolor supplies when I put a post like that out. And that just includes your watercolor brushes, your palette, and whatever paint you have, as well as a watercolor cloth and some water. In lieu of the paintbrushes and the water, you can also use a water brush if you want to, but just grab whatever you normally grab if you're doing watercolors. And if you prefer watercolor pencils, feel free to grab those instead. Those are also really fun. I may use some of those today, but I'm not sure. And then I put masking tape or washi tape. You can kind of use them interchangeably, but some masking tape. And then I wrote a clear plastic sleeve like you have from a binder. But you can also use packaging. I'm actually going to recycle or reuse some packaging. This is, I think, some stickers or something came in this. So that's what I'm going to use. And what else did I grab? Oh, a black brush pen or any color brush pen, whatever you want to use. So that's what I'm going to use today. And let's see, is there anything else you should know about? I think that's it. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to do is I have this little stencil I made. It's a little hexagon shape. And I didn't put this on your supply list, but all I did was find a hexagon online and then trace it. I just held it up to the screen and traced it and then cut this out. So you don't necessarily need a hexagon. I just thought that would be fun. You can also just use a little circle. But I'm going to set that aside because that's what we're going to use first. And by the way, you guys, if you haven't seen this already, how do you guys like my paint palette? Check this out. You guys know what that is, right? Our neighbor across the street, I set her on the task. Terry, she is such a fun thrifter, and she finds all kinds of good stuff. And I said, okay, I need something like an egg tray or something like that. And I'm going to use it for watercolor, so it needs to be white so the colors are true instead of like, you know, another color or something. And she found that for me. It's nice and heavy. It's been wonderful. It's worked out wonderfully. Okay, so with your plastic packaging or your binder sleeve or whatever you end up using, I'm just going to basically make a sheet of masking tape with it. So I'm taking my masking tape and taping it to this plastic and overlapping it slightly, just a little bit right there, so that it creates one big sheet. And I'm going to do that just enough to get the size of the hexagon. So maybe about like that. This is actually more than I need, but this will work out fine. And then I'm going to take my hexagon and put it down onto this piece of, it's eventually going to be a sticker stencil. But I'm going to go ahead and take a pen. Let's see, do I have a pencil? I guess I'll use a pencil. Ooh, did I have a Sharpie? I'll use a Sharpie. And I'm going to trace around this hexagon to make a stencil. So I'm going to trace around that first. That's going to be the first thing. All the way around all the edges. And then I'm going to go ahead and lift that up, and you can see my hexagon is traced on there. Hopefully you guys can see that. Can you see that well enough, everybody? And now what I'm going to do is actually draw a line outside of that hexagon to make a slightly larger hexagon. Let me see if I can grab a straight edge somewhere. The edge of something. Oh, I'll use the edge of my, well, no, that might not work so well. Let's see, what can I use? Well, I might just freehand it. So I'm going to freehand a hexagon on the outside of this. So just a straight line all the way around the hexagon to make a little bit bigger one like that. So just all the way around, just like that. And you could trace a larger hexagon too if you really wanted to, but this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to take my scissors. If I forgot to put scissors on your supply list, just always have some scissors nearby. It's kind of a, go-to craft supply that you need to have on hand. So I'm going to cut on that outside line, cut the hexagon out like this. And what I'm doing is I'm creating my own stencil, but you can obviously, if you have a stencil, just go ahead and use it. I just like to make things that you guys can use, even if you don't like have a ton of extra cash to go get supplies, or you want to make something unique, but you don't know how to do it on a budget. You can always make your own stuff, and masking tape is so versatile. You can just make a ton of stuff out of it. Okay, so I'm gonna fold this over. So the goal before I even do it is to cut this inside hexagon out. So I'll end up with this really thin little hexagon on the outside. So what I'm gonna do is fold this and just snip the middle to give myself a little gap to come into. And then I'm gonna use my scissors to come to the edge like that. And I wanna be real careful that I don't accidentally cut it, into the little hexagon piece. And then just cut real carefully around that edge, the inner hexagon line, like that. And for those of you that are watching live, feel free to ask any questions while you're going. And for those of you that are watching the replay, you can go ahead and ask questions, and I do try to reply to my lives, so feel free. And then anyone who feels like they're falling behind or whatever, if you're going ahead and doing it with me live, just feel free to pause, go back, watch the replay later or whatever, and then work on it again. But this is what we're going for. And by the way, save this little hexagon. Now you have like a cute little hexagon stencil. You can tape it back together and use it. So I'm just going to set that aside. But here is my little hexagon frame. Hi, Lillian. I'm so excited to see you. That is really, really fun. Welcome. And hi, Jackie. She's getting a quilt started. Oh, you will have to show us a picture of your quilt at some point. That is so fun to have you on, Lillian. Have you made any, I should ask you if you've gotten your mail. have you gotten mail from me? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm not sure if this will work super well because it is so thin. So we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't, we can just use it as a stencil. But what I'm gonna do is try to peel off that clear plastic, which sometimes takes a little while to get started. Let's see if I can get it apart. And while I try to get this apart, I'll tell you guys, I know that you guys haven't seen me live in quite a while, and I just wanted to say thank you guys for being so patient with me as I need to try to like reorient my schedule. So we have a friend that many of you guys know about who's not doing super well, and I've been helping out in that area for a few weeks now, and that has just been wonderful. I've been really happy to help, and that's definitely high on my priority list. But that has made it to where I need to kind of rework the schedule for our lives here at Artworthy Life. And so what I'm thinking for the next couple of weeks, potentially longer, but for at least the next couple of weeks, I'm going to go ahead and do some lives, but I'm going to go live on Fridays only. So I used to go live three days a week, and that was not really manageable on the schedule I have right now. Oops, I pulled it from the wrong direction. Okay, I finally got it free, and now I got to go from the other direction. Okay, let me try from this way. Oh, good, Lillian got her mail. Yay, I'm so excited. Yay. Okay, so anyway, what I'm going to do is we're going to keep doing some art journaling here live, but I am going to, let me look at this really quick. Do I have this going the right way? Oh, that should be. Oh, I see what I did. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to try to go live here every Friday. So at my normal time, which is 10:30, and just go live once a week with some art journaling. So I think that'll be really great. And thank you all again for being patient as I needed to rework that schedule. And I'm sorry you didn't see very many posts, just kind of was not online very much. And it was a little difficult to keep up with that until things kind of got onto a normal rhythm. So that's what it's going to look like for the next couple of weeks. And I'll try to keep you posted on what my schedule is. Okay, so obviously this is a little harder than I thought it was going to be, but I did get the plastic to come up finally. So I'm just going to pull that out right there. And you can also, which I didn't think about doing until just this minute, you can also use some little tweezers. That would work really well, or just pull up some of the tape in the center. Okay. It says it's because it's such a skinny piece of sticker. Okay. Oh, that seemed really tedious. Sorry, guys. So sometimes the downside to DIY stuff is that it's a little tougher than like just buying a stencil or something. Okay, so see that? I pulled the plastic apart. There you go. Just like that. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. And then you're just going to pull the plastic gently away from the masking tape. So I'm going to go real carefully around the edges and pull the plastic all the way off this masking tape. And this will give me a little tiny frame, which is going to be the basis for my journal cover page. Okay, and now it's stuck to my finger like static. Okay, get that off. Okay, and then just be real careful to straighten your hexagon back out, but I'm going to put the hexagon with the points at the top. So just kind of like a, just like this, like with the hexagon at the top, and I'm going to somewhat center it on the page if I can. and just kind of carefully place it. And I'm not going to stick it all the way down until I know it's where I want it to be. So I'm just going to kind of tack it in place till it looks pretty good. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm trying to line up this left side with the side of the journal, which that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to smooth out all these edges. All right. So looks like I had a little buckle right there, but that should be fine. So that is how we're going to start off the journal page. And, you know, I really like masking tape, but blue is not my favorite color of masking tape because it always throws me off color-wise for a journal page. But just ignore the blue. We're going to be doing a lot of other colors, and just know the blue is only tape. And then when we pull that off, it'll just be like, pow, you know, it'll look great. I was trying to do the sound and it just still didn't work. Maybe I need to drink some tea. Okay, for those of you that aren't on here all the time, I always ask this, but who is a tea drinker and who is a coffee drinker? I'm like pretty much tea all the way. I will drink coffee on occasion for fun, but it's not like something I drink every day. And I don't drink caffeine hardly ever. I used to, but I found out my body does not like it. It really it keeps me awake, but it doesn't give me any energy. So I get all the jitters without the benefits of like being able to have more clarity of thought or anything. All right. Oh, Lillian says both. Wow. And when you drink coffee and tea, do you put anything in it, or do you drink it like black or whatever? All right, so I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow. This is some yellow I had on my palette. I'm big about recycling or reusing the paint that's still on the palette. But this is from a project I just did in the Artworthy Journal Club. And it's basically a mixture of this number 43, which I think is called, what is it called? Mid-yellow. I don't have my little chart right now. But number 43 and number 44 in this, let's see, this one's my Kuretake Japanese watercolor set. Okay, and then I'm going to lighten that up quite a bit and fill in this middle section right here with that kind of, it's like a light sunny mustard color. And I'm using my size 16 round brush because I want to sweep that across the whole page really fast and not have any what they call tide lines, which is where the color kind of bleeds into itself. Now I've picked up a little bit of the number 40, which is a brighter yellow, and kind of added it to the other side. So it almost looks like it's sunny from the right-hand side. And that's because I felt like that was a little bit dull. I wanted a little bit warmer. And I'm grabbing a little bit more of the orangey color. Let me turn this so you guys can see which color I'm grabbing. And I'm just gonna brighten this up a little bit because I don't like it too dull. And I'm going to grab a little bit of water and just use that to spread this out. Now this is mixed media paper. It's not watercolor paper, so it doesn't act exactly like watercolor, which means I need to be a little bit more careful with it. But it does a good enough job for an art journal that it's a great budget option if you don't want to buy a journal made out of watercolor paper, because they can run a little pricey. Sometimes you can find a good deal, but they can run a little pricey. So this is a good alternative option, and it works great on a lot of different medias. Jackie likes tea, but she doesn't like coffee. Oh, and Debbie likes tea. Oh, likes iced tea. Debbie, do you like sweet iced tea or just regular straight tea? Oh, Lillian says tea with milk, especially if it's black. Oh, yeah. And milk and sugar in my coffee. Yeah, I like, so when I drink black tea, I usually drink decaf. And let's see, Yorkshire Gold has a Yorkshire decaf, and I love it. It's so good. But let's see, I will normally have milk, like a whole milk, and honey. So I'll normally have decaf black tea with milk and honey, but I don't have that a lot because I like to drink some herbal teas and things like that as well. Oh, how fun. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do some little doodles around the outside of this to kind of create like a big floral frame. And what I want to do is just do a bunch of different kinds of flowers, but I'm going to keep them in browns and grays and kind of neutral colors. So what I'm going to do first is grab this is kind of a mustard color. I think they call it light brown, but I always feel like it's a mustard color. It's the number 44 kind of tan color from this set. And we're just going to paint some really simple florals. So the first thing I'm going to do is just paint in these like they're little dots, just little dots coming down. And they create like a little bloom here. And then I'm going to do a little bloom to the side of that. And all these are little dots. Let me see if I can get a little closer so you guys can see what I mean. All right. Get just a teensy bit closer. Okay. So these are just little dots, and it's just so simple, but watercolor is really fun because you can use little dots, and before you know it, it looks like a flower. Then I'm going to do a little bloom coming out this way, and another one coming out this way. And then I'm going to leave that. I'm going to come back and do some branches. So let me turn this. Basically, we're going to put 3 or 4 of each of the little flowers we choose to do all around, and eventually our little frame will be nice and full. I'm going to go around like this, and I'm starting tiny and then coming down and making like almost like cone shapes with these little dots. And my hand is doing this, just kind of bumpy all the way down. And that's how you get that kind of sporadic shape to do these little blooms. There's a lot of flowers you can draw, like lavender, wisteria, all kinds of those flowers you can draw using this just little rapid motion, and it doesn't it doesn't look bad. I mean, it looks like the flower. Jackie says she has iced tea more than hot tea. Oh, Debbie likes hot tea flavored. What kind of flavors, Debbie? Do you like some kind of floral flavors or fruity stuff? You'll have to tell us. And Jackie likes no sugar. I was just talking to a friend of ours who said that she thought growing up that she didn't like tea. And then she found out later that some people drink tea without sugar. And evidently she prefers tea without sugar, so now she likes tea, but because she always grew up having it with sugar, she thought she didn't like it. So now she actually likes it. Isn't that interesting? I like mine with honey, usually. Okay, I'm going to make this a little longer, so just make sure your flowers are going to be about the same size as you go around. And we can add more of these later, but I think I'm just going to start with 3 for now. So you're just going to kind of go around. And the goal is not symmetry. You want things to be just a little bit off because natural things aren't symmetrical. And so even though there's only 3 and they're not all on every side, that's okay. That's how we want it. Okay, now I'm grabbing a little bit of black and a tiny bit of the yellow that we just made because I like to use a color that we've just made rather than just picking one off the palette. So I'm using a little black and a little bit of this yellow to make kind of a dark brownish color. And I'm going to draw little stems between some of these little flowers and then down onto right up to that blue edge. So I'm basically just giving these some little branches like that. Super simple, straight lines, but they don't go all the way through. You'll notice when I'm drawing these, they're just little branches, but they don't cross over the flowers I've just made. That's why you draw the branches next. So they almost look like tiny little trees if you think about it. And you don't have the trunk like go over the top of the branches. Okay, so now we're gonna do some little leafy things. I'm gonna switch to my size 8 round, my just well-loved and abused size 8 round. It's one of the ones I use the most. So, and I'm gonna use another brown color. So this is gonna be this number 64. I'm like reading upside down trying to tell you guys. This is number 64. It's a brown. I think it's just called brown in this palette. And I'm going to put it over here so I can add some water to it. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of the darker brown too, just so it's not so red. This one looks really red. Okay, so more like a regular brown. Just warmed up a little. Okay, and these are going to be little leaves. And so we're going to paint some leaves that kind of climb up each other. Let me start over on this side. So basically we're going to start with a thin line, press down to make the leaf shape, and pick up to make another thin line. And then do that again and again, bringing each leaf to about the middle area of the last leaf. And that will make this little thing kind of climb like this. Oops, that one didn't turn out exactly how I wanted. So kind of like that, and then we'll go around and add some more of those. So I'm going to do this. And you kind of want to make your little leaves sort of curve a little. Oops, that one wasn't exactly, but overall, I really like florals because overall, even if each individual leaf isn't absolutely perfect, your overall picture is just going to be so cool because it doesn't need to be perfect. My bristles on this brush are getting a little bit overworked, but I still use them because they force me to kind of be okay with some streaky lines or things that aren't exactly how I want them to be. And that makes a natural painting more interesting. I'm spinning this around to look for places to put more leaves. I think this will be a good place. And I'm going to kind of tilt this one a little bit so it's not just like the others. Maybe put one here. Okay, there we go. So there's some leaves that are just super simple. And we're going to switch to another color now. And I have some doodle examples. I'm going to look at what I want to do next. I kind of did a pre-sketch. Here's my pre-sketch of some different things I wanted to draw, but I did it with pens, so I'm thinking about colors. So I think what I'm going to do now is grab some gray, and I'm going to simulate what I would call like, we'd call this eucalyptus leaf, but I'm doing it in grays because I'm purposefully keeping the colors like golds and yellows and grays. And even though it's eucalyptus is green. So these are going to be like little loops, and we're going to draw them. I think I'm going to draw the first one at the bottom or over here. And they're basically going to be little loops that kind of go out from the stem. And I know you guys can't see the stem yet because I haven't drawn it, but basically like little circles that go kind of down the stem, and they get kind of small down here, and then another couple at the top, and then kind of a dot. So this is going to be the eucalyptus leaf, and after I get done with each of them, I'm going to come back and add the stem. So we're going to do another one over here, and this time I'm going to space out the little loops a little bit more, just so they're really clear and you can see them. So they're just kind of little ovals back and forth. Some of them meet up and some of them don't. And we'll just go all the way down like that. I think I'm going to put a couple higher ones out like that. Okay. All right, and then we'll do another one over here. This one's going to kind of go off the page a little bit, but that's okay. And they're not meant to be perfect, so this one's something you can just kind of play with a little all the way down. And I'm going to do another one kind of like that. So just kind of look at some images of flowers. If you're doing something like this on your own, you can look at a bunch of different flower shapes, especially look at floral arrangements like bouquets and things like that, and you can see different shapes of flowers and things that people put together that look good together. So you'll see a mixture of thick flowers, thin flowers, stick-like things, and then things with big leaves. And that'll kind of give you an idea of what to combine when you're painting florals the same idea of having kind of a good mix of all those different shapes and a lot of different sizes and stuff like that. Okay, now I'm going to use my liner brush, size 0 liner brush. Do you guys have eucalyptus? Have you guys ever had a bouquet with eucalyptus in it? It always smells good. And then it it adds sort of this dusty green color. I really like it. Okay, I'm going to put a little stem up the middle of these. And this stem can kind of just go straight up like that. Does not have to be super gappy. So just straight up like that. And just kind of run it down the middle of each of your little branches. All right, next I want to do some things with more like branches and leaves on them. And so for this one, I'm going to use another yellow. I'm going to grab this golden yellow color again, and I want it to vary just slightly from the other yellow because I don't want it to get mixed in with those golden leaves. So I'm just going to make it a little bit brighter and add some of this sunny yellow to it. So it's going to be a brighter yellow. And I'm going to use my size 8 round and just paint some leaves kind of in a cluster, and then we'll go back in and add those branches again. So I'm just going to do some leaf shapes using the shape of this brush. Shape of this brush is already very leaf shaped. So I can just kind of paint those leaves in, and I'm going to put them all over, kind of almost in a footprint pattern going up. And then I can put a few kind of off to the side and up to the top, and then we'll come back in later and add some branches. And I'm going to do one over here. This will be very simple to fill in. So just a bunch of little kind of blobs of color, but they're leaf shapes. And you want to stagger them just like footprints. Kind of off to one side and the other. Just try to make sure they're not too symmetrical. That's the idea. And then we'll put one here. And so you can see we kind of try to make room as we go around for the next branches to fill in. And then, just leave some space between each of them and kind of keep going around until the whole thing is filled in. That's kind of the idea. Woo! Or you could throw your brush. Okay. So I'm going to paint this in with just some really quick leaf shapes here again. All right, so you can see that's starting to get really full. I'm going to come back with a liner brush again and draw in the branches. We're going to use the same gray-brown I was using earlier so that we're pulling from the same color palette, basically. And then to fill in the branches, you want to start with a branch connected to the bottom, so basically like going down to the blue. Let me grab a little bit darker so you guys can see. So a little branch here, and then kind of connect that branch to the next leaf. This leaf looks like it goes down to there. And just kind of think about a tree. You want all of your branches going upward. Hi, Preston. How are you? Long time no see. And then pull down through the leaves, each little branch kind of connecting to the tree below it. Preston, how have you been? It's been a while. I haven't been live in a while, so it's probably my fault. But how's it going? So I'm going to grab this little leaf at the top and just pull a little branch down. Pull a little branch down, and you can see that's just super simple, just kind of connecting them with little tiny branches, nothing really complicated, and just letting them sort of connect like that. You can even do a few branches that don't connect to anything if you want to fill in some interesting, and I can put like a little bud at the end of those or something. Kind of fun. Busy with work, school, and kiddos. Yes, you've got plenty of kiddos to be busy with. Are you in school? still? Are you still studying something? Forget what we were talking about last time. Thank you for the thumbs up, some of you guys. I see the hearts and the thumbs up. That's really fun. Okay, so what we're going to do now is keep going around and adding the branches to each of these little leaves as we go down. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Kind of just add some branches and be careful not to have it kind of overwhelm the rest of the painting. You know, so have your branches be kind of delicate and thin, and that should work out really well. Okay, see how that kind of makes them look like they're, I don't know, they just look like they're super delicate and pretty. Okay. All right, so there is some branches being added, and I actually think that looks really, really good. So you could leave it here, but I'm going to add a few actual just branches, some little wooden branches that aren't flowered, I guess is the way to say that. So just some little branches. I'm going to use my liner brush and kind of draw wherever I think there needs to be a little bit more happening. I'm going to kind of draw a little tree branch sort of climbing out of here. And the way I like to draw my tree branches is basically draw one branch, stop, and then make another branch grow out of that one that's a little taller than the last one. That, for some reason, looks more real to your eye. Preston says, just about finished your first year. Awesome. That's great. Congratulations. So you would finish like in May. Would that be right? That's so awesome. Does that make you a freshman? That's amazing. That must feel weird to be a freshman. Okay, so I'm just going to let this little branch sort of climb up. And then go all the way kind of out and around some of the other branches. So just like that, some simple little branches coming up, and anywhere where I feel like, okay, there's a little gap here, I need to fill this in, I can use these little delicate branches, just kind of weave them up and around and make some really fun detail without a whole lot of extra effort. Okay, I actually think that looks pretty good. So that is framing out our hexagon. So next what I want to do is add a little, a fun little bee kind of buzzing around. So I'm going to use my liner brush again and some black. I have some black over here. Right here, which is actually number 20, but oh, I might have named those wrong earlier. Anyway, number 20 black, whatever you have that's your standard black. And I'm going to put a little bee. I'm just going to draw a little oval for his face, cute little oval. And then clean my brush off. And I'm going to use light gray to do his wings just because I'm trying not to add any blue or green or anything like that. Preston says for his 4th time. You're a freshman for the 4th time? Oh, how interesting. That's so fun. Well, you know, as long as you keep going, you know, it doesn't really matter how many times you got to get it done as long as you eventually finish. That'll be fun. And then I'm just going to draw some quick little ovals for the wings of the bee. Just some kind of fluttering ovals. And I'm going to lift it up a little so you guys can see that. So here's my little bee just buzzing. Bzz. And then I'm going to draw another bee over here. Well, that one's just, I'm drawing the black part. So I'm going to do another little bee kind of right. Maybe I should have it upright so it's not buzzing upside down. So I'll just have it an upright bee, but I'll have it facing the other direction. How about that? So I'll do a little oval here, and then grab some light gray and do some wings. Ooh, it's kind of weird to draw it the other way. So it's just some little ovals for the wings, like that. And then I want to grab the yellow that I was using for the bright flowers and just draw in a little body. The cute little bee body. Just like that. Sweet little bee. And then the little body over here. Is anybody allergic to bees? Like, do they kind of freak you out? Sometimes when I draw stuff that's like a bee or something, people are like, that's not a pleasant drawing. Like, I wonder who's allergic. I'm not allergic to bees, thankfully. Or to the bee sting. They're just like unpleasant. Like, I don't want to be stung by them. But I used to actually pet bees. We were talking about this the other day. When they would get down in the clover flowers, especially in Tennessee, there are so many clover flowers everywhere. I guess they are here as well, but it seemed like they were overabundant when we were in Tennessee, just all over the front yard, which probably means we needed to like weed and seed or something with like regular grass, but like our grass was like half clover. Anyway, there were all these honeybees everywhere, and they would get so interested in the honey or in the flowers and the nectar and stuff. They would just be kind of like staggering around like, this is amazing. And they wouldn't react when you touch them. So you could get right up behind them while they're drinking and just pet their back because they're a little fuzzy bee. It was so cool. Okay, so I'm gonna let those bees dry before I add their little stripes, but I'm gonna go, I don't know. I feel like I wanna do the blue thing last. Okay, maybe I'll go ahead and pull it off now. It's always fun when you pull the tape off. So I'm gonna pull this tape off, peel that off just like that. Ta-da! So there's my little frame for the what's it called? Month cover page. And now I'm gonna take my Fudenosuke Tombow brush pen, if you are interested in what it's called. And this one is the soft tip. And I'm just going to write May of 2021 on here. And this is the point of the show where Marina stops talking, because if she talks while she writes, she misspells words live because she's done it before. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking and I'm just going to write, and you guys can leave comments and tell me whether or not you're allergic to bees. Okay. Let's see. I want to do this. It's like, is she capable of misspelling a 3-letter word? Very possibly. Okay, and on the end of this, I'm going to do a cute little like ding, 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 ding. Almost like a little bee trail, like that. I think that'd be kind of cute. And then 2021. Like that. May of 2021. And now I'm going to paint in the little stripes now that my little bees are dry. Oops, I just dipped the wrong end of my brush into the water. Okay, I'm gonna grab that and grab my little black palette over here and just do like 2 stripes on my little bee so he looks like a bee. Cute little fuzzy stripes. And then do some little fuzzy stripes on this guy. And then I'm going to lighten that up and use a really light gray to do some dots, like a little bee trail. Bonnie says, my aunt nicknamed me Bonnie Bee. Aw, that's so sweet. When you were a kid, Bonnie, that is adorable. I love that. I love, love, love that. Okay, I'm going to do some little lines behind this bee to show him flying around. So just little gray stripe, or whatever it's called, dashes. Little gray dashes to show him flying. And one tip for you guys that sometimes have a hard time drawing like curly lines or whatever is to draw them out with a pencil before you do the dashes. Just draw out a line and, with a pencil, see if you like it, erase it if you don't, and just like test it out before you commit to paint. And that is a really good idea because sometimes when you're doing dashes, it's really hard to get your line smooth. even now it's like I have to kind of stop and think, but I've been doing it enough that I can kind of visualize the line before I get there. But if you have trouble, just, draw it out before you start and see if you like it. And if you don't, just redraw it. All right, so there is our cover page for the month of May. What do you guys think? Do you love this page? If you do, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you really like what we're doing here at Artworthy Life, feel free to share it with anyone you think would also enjoy it. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the page like this so I can say bye to everybody. I really, really enjoyed this cover page. I just think it's really fun. It's always fun when you're about to start a new month. I know it's not May yet, but I know if I don't do it now, like I won't get it done before the beginning of May. So I wanted to get my cover page done for the month of May because we'll be starting up that month very, very soon. So Bonnie said she likes it. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see your guys' version of it. If you make one, take a picture and post it here at Artworthy Life, or post it to your own page and tag Artworthy Life so I can see it, because I love to see your version of the art we do here. Thank you all so much. God bless you. And just another reminder, I'll be live every Friday at 10:30 Pacific time, 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern time. Take care. God bless you, and I'll see you soon.